Alright, so Martin BAKOLE, the 300-pound boogeyman of the heavyweight division, is looking to take on his next opponent, but he's at a standstill of no one wanting to necessarily go forth, take that risk of fighting and getting knocked out by this boogeyman, this beast in Martin BAKOLE. So recently at the Usyk versus Dubois fight, he had this interview of being questioned about where he looks to go next, what's on the option, and what's being brought to the table for his little career. And he brought up Moses Atama, which I don't think that fight is likely to happen. Not only is Moses kind of young, he's a 20-year-old prospect being brought into the game, but he's also, well, Turki Al-Sheikh released a tweet that he wants Moses Atama, after fighting a journeyman Dillian White, to go and take on undisputed world champion Usyk. So I don't think Martin BAKOLE, or I don't think they're going to give him that fight and risk that title fight being canceled because Martin did what Martin does and brutalized Moses Atama. I don't think that fight is likely to happen. And then he also brought up Anthony Joshua, which Anthony Joshua is coming off a knockdown, and it's already been set in motion that Anthony Joshua is fighting Tyson Fury in 2026 after he has a tune-up fight, which might be, from Turki Al-Sheikh words, it might be Jake Paul that he has for a tune-up fight to prepare him for Tyson the Gypsy King Fury, which is the most retarded thing in history. But I guess it could be a entertaining fight. But the problem with that, I'm not gonna go into that. But back on Martin BAKOLE, where the Anthony Joshua fight could be on the table, but since that it's been set in motion that they want a tune-up fight for Anthony, I don't think that his tune-up's gonna be the Martin BAKOLE, just simply because how dangerous of a fight that is. So we're kind of left with, I hear that Torres, he's being built up, and he's like building up his name, a prospect. So I guess that fight could be in the picture if they want to risk that young future champion being knocked out like Jared Anderson was, because Jared was built up to beat Martin due to the fact that Martin's on the latter end. He's 33, 34 years old. He's on the latter end of his career, so he was built to lose in that fight, and Jared was like put in the position to be in title contendership, and that all got fucked when Martin did what Martin does. And now, 2 fights later, we're left with the problem of the promoters not wanting to throw any young prospects that has a chance to building up their name later in the future and going and taking on that undisputed title holder. And any of the other dudes like Ajit Kabayel, Zheli Zhang, he's there, Daniel Dubois, who else is in that like spear of having a chance of going and fighting Usyk? But all of those names, right, he's like in between a crossroads of guys that were like in their next fight can fight for undisputed, then guys that's preparing to be in that world contendership. And in the middle, he's not really like what am I looking for? He doesn't really have a fight to look forward to, because the risk of Martin is just too high at the current moment, if that all makes sense. So we're left with Martin kind of just sitting on the sidelines and not really getting involved, and not having any fights or any fighters wanting to take that chance against him. And maybe we get a Zhilei Zhang face-off. Maybe the two giants just collide and we get that beautiful fight. But I also don't see that happening unless Turkey puts up serious money, because I feel as if they want to rebuild Zhilei Zhang, and they also want to rebuild or build up Moses Atama and rebuild Anthony Joshua, which are all the fights like on the table for Martin BAKOLE. So we'll see what comes forth from that.